Silicon Valley, technology, art, green, and sustainability.
Hi, welcome to Silicon Valley Technology, Art, Green, and Sustainability. Today, my guest has been working on greening buildings that are both existing buildings and new construction. And Barry Giles is our guest. Giles, and I think I got that wrong. And thank you for coming. He owns BuildingWise. And could you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into the business and what you do?
Well, certainly happy to do so. BuildingWise started about 2 years ago. Previously, we were working in the existing building market. I was part of California State University system and moved into work with the U.S. Green Building Council and started BuildingWise really to help our commercial clients understand their green process and help them green up their building.
And so you've been doing this for 2 years with your own company.
That's right, but previous to that, how I got started is actually quite an interesting little subject. When I came to America, I actually got a job working for the Monterey Bay Aquarium. And about that time, Monterey Bay Aquarium was teaming up with the Packard Foundation, MBARI, Monterey Bay Aquarium Research Institute, to produce the Sustainable Facilities Group. And that was 3 very good gentlemen who started that. Charlie Oslanian from the Monterey Bay Aquarium, Monty Perry from MBARI, and John Peel from the Packard Foundation. They created the Sustainable Facilities Group.
Is that Hewlett-Packard Foundation?
That's correct. Okay. The Packard Foundation up here in Los Altos Hills. Okay. What they did was they wanted to create a working group of facilities managers, so that facilities managers will be able to understand what made their building tick and how to green them. And I was very lucky to be right at the start of that, just a participant working with it to understand the process that was going through for sustainable facilities. At one of those early meetings was one of the leading lights of LEED, a lady by the name of Lynn Simon out of San Francisco, who told us all about LEED. And that really got me started. Moving to Moss Landing Marine Lab, which is part of the California State University system, was just at the time that LEED for existing buildings, the second big component of LEED, was underway, being designed. And we very luckily, well, I think it was luck, got started in the process on day 1 of greening Moss Landing Marine Lab.
Now, I haven't been to Moss Landing Marine Lab for years, but I remember just these little tide pools, cement pools that they have, and I apparently the facility is just this amazing facility. And so you got involved 5 years ago, 2 years?
It was actually, the original Moss Landing fell down in the Loma Prieta earthquake.
Oh, okay.
And it was
89, something
89,
like that?
Yes.
Okay.
You know the date better than I do.
Yeah.
Certainly they designed and rebuilt the new facility on the hilltop above Moss Landing. And that was actually completed in the year 2000. I actually joined as manager of facilities there in 2001, just at the time LEED for existing buildings was coming out in the marketplace.
And for people that don't know what LEED for buildings is, could you explain that a little bit?
Okay, well, LEED is an acronym, stands for Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design. And it's a suite of rating systems that the U.S. Green Building Council designed where you could compare one green building against another. What you do is to complete a series of prerequisites and credits, and the accumulation of a certain number of those will get you to a certain standard of LEED. LEED for new construction came out very late in the 90s, beginning of 2000, took off immediately, and they obviously realized, well, as everybody knows, there's far more existing buildings in the marketplace than there are new construction. So they wanted to provide something that would help existing buildings create a green building without having to, how should we say, knock it down and start again.
Right.
So the process is really to look at the way the building is operated. How is it operated? What can we do to improve those operations? What can we do to improve those operations which have a return on investment? so that you can help to finance that program through the whole series of steps.
And the LEED, isn't there basic 5 things in the LEED process? Water conservation, what are the other?
Actually, the 5
big
categories that make it up, they use the word categories, are sustainable sites, which means anything to really do with the site, the surrounding site.
Is that the human comfort and all that?
No, for existing buildings, it's associated with planting the exterior, parking, how we clean the outside of the buildings, things like that.
Wow.
Second category is water efficiency, obviously something in California we're very hot on here. The third section is energy environment, or energy and atmosphere, whichever you like to say, but associated with how much energy is being used in the building and the processes to help reduce that. Third category is materials and resources. What comes into the building, what we purchase, what do we do with it, and how we recycle out of the building are 2 of the major components of materials and resources.
So if it's an older building, what you're doing with those materials when you're rebuilding or
yes,
improvements?
It can be. We hope there's not too much rebuilding in an existing building, but certainly there's things that you would purchase every day, things like paper, pens, notepads, things like that. So basic items, but also other items like our durable goods, washing machines, refrigerators, coffee machines, copiers, that type of thing. The last category is indoor environmental quality, where we're talking about the quality of the inside air. And that has a great reflection on our comfort, our temperature, the quality of the air, smells, whatever that's going on. There is another category which is outside of those 5, which is called innovation. And that category helps those people who have gone one step better than the original process, or have done something innovative that they want to get, well, they want to get a pat on the back for.
So can you give us an example of that?
Type of things that are innovative. We could always talk about some very out of left field things like worm composting, for example.
Oh, fun.
And I'm sure everybody is completely attuned to what worm composting is. But it's surprising how many commercial buildings have taken that on, especially if they have a restaurant in their own building. Standard things are that the USGBC, within their categories, for example, water category, has set a standard, say, to reduce water consumption in the building by 30%. Well, some people are not just innovative, they've gone far better than that. They've gone to 50%, and they should be gaining credit for it.
So that'll get them higher on that scale of the LEED certification,
that's exactly
which is
right.
Certified silver, gold, and platinum.
It can do. By the innovation credit, certainly by gaining that extra point in there, could build them towards a different color of plaque on the wall. And as you were pointing out, they start with certified silver, gold, and platinum. So the varying grades of LEED and the varying grades of plaque on the wall are a reflection of the hard work that's gone into operations and maintenance of that building.
And your company helps other companies and existing and commercial achieve these different levels.
Our job is to help as a catalyst within that program. I mean, obviously we can, as a consulting company, come in and do the whole thing for people. But in fact, we really don't like doing that. One of the most important things about operations and maintenance is the ongoing operations and maintenance of that building.
So the facility people really have to roll their sleeves up and learn about it to be able to help with the process?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We'd like to get it institutionalized so that people can carry on the program over a longer period of time. Our job is to help as a catalyst to help you do that. And yes, get you to a LEED rating if that is practical for your building. Not every building is practical to get to LEED.
So I guess that's one of my questions, is what's been the most challenging or interesting, 2 different things, challenging or difficult or interesting, 2 different questions, I guess, projects that you've come across in your greening of buildings?
I think it's important to realize that not every building you go into is a target for LEED right now.
Why would that
be? Well,
be?
because how we try to roll it up is that we don't try and go into a client and say, we're going to do the whole thing. I think the important thing is to realize that what we're trying to do is take it in a phased approach. The most important thing that people have to realize is, and learn very early on, is where is their building right now? Yes, they have a target for putting a plaque on the wall and being green. But unless they understand where their building is right now, they can't understand how they're going to move that building from here to here. And one of the challenge is to get them to understand that the amount of energy you're using in your building isn't really applicable to the national standard. And one of the components we use is Energy Star. Energy Star is one way of rating how a commercial building, and they're moving into domestic market, but certainly commercial buildings, is using its electricity efficiency.
Yeah, I think of Energy Star as rating or refrigerators at the house, or
that's another component.
That's what I think of. So they're involved in helping the commercial buildings decide what's green or not in the energy then.